and welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and this is a very special video because in a handful of days, it's my birthday. I'm a Leo and I like to celebrate my birthday in many stages over many days. I basically think the month is my birthday month. So I'm having a great time. But the focus of my birthday video is something that I've been doing on my blog when my blog was up and running, and I consistently follow it. I say consistently follow it. I've not been very good at doing it. I just love making it. And that is a list of books that I want to read before my next birthday. I had a list of 25 books I wanted to read before I turned 25, and I've also just curated a list of 26 books I would like to read before I turn 26. But in honor of my birthday and in honor of this idea, I thought I would finally bring over to the visual video space instead of the written word 26 books I want to read in 2026. But this is going to be a long one, so buckle in, get some food, because we have to start talking about the 25 books first. I'm actually not yet 25, so technically I still have time. But I'm focusing on romance books for the month of August, so I don't think at this point in time I will get round to reading them. First, I want to recap the books that I planned on reading in 2025, discuss whether I have read them, and if I read them, if I enjoyed them, and also discuss if I haven't read them, do I still want to read them or do I want to unhaul them? My 25 books I want to read before I turn 25 have a lot of overlap with my 25 books I want to read in 2025, because I kind of started off with my birthday list and then got to the end of the year and I was like, oh, I actually want to do a list for the whole year. So it's kind of amalgamation of the two. So when I finally get round to my video where I talk about the 26 books I want to read in 2026 and I discuss my 2025 books, there's going to be a lot of overlap. But I'd like to think that by the time we get to December, January, you've all forgotten this video exists in terms of detail. But you actually just remember going, wow, that was such an entertaining video. She's so entertaining and so knowledgeable about books. Let's first get into the books that I wanted to read before I turned 25. So a couple of these, I actually don't have all of my 25 because some of them I have read and I've donated, or they were on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy. So just bear with me. So starting off first, this is in no particular order, so don't worry. We have Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. For those of you who watched my New Adult video, I spoke about If We Were Villains being a penultimate new adult book, a book that I absolutely loved, and I was super excited to read Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. I ended up reading this. I think I gave it like a 3.5, maybe a 4 stars. It was a very different vibe to If We Were Villains. If We Were Villains is like 400 pages and Graveyard Shift is a novella. Overall, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed what I read. I wanted more, but I read it. Yay! I'm gonna have to put a little India has read counter up so we can actually, one, shame myself for how little I've read and appreciate what I have read. I actually have my original blog post to remind myself what was on my original list because I did not do a very good job. I tend to put more effort into my 25 books to read in 2025 than my actual birthday list because there's so much overlap, but I digress. I actually only ended up reading 8 books from my 2024 list, so. Next up is The Rainfall Market. This is by Yeong-Gwang. I DNF'd this. I actually also don't have my copy anymore. I unfortunately could not get on well with this. I really liked it in theory. I liked like the first 100 pages and then I just kind of lost interest in it. There is honestly nothing else really to say. Then, and I genuinely seem to have misplaced my copy of this book. I don't know where it is. I have Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This was read for one of my first ever, I think it was my second sci-fi fantasy book group that I ran. The first book we did was Strange the Dreamer, and the next book we read was Hell Followed With Us, and I read this in London when I was seeing my friend's family and we were going out exploring London, and I read it and I can't remember, what did I give it? I ended up giving it 4 stars. So Hell Followed With Us, I realised I probably should give a little bit of explanation what these books are. I'll do it very briefly because we've got 26 other books to get through. Hell Followed With Us is a queer post-apocalyptic horror book about religious cults and trans representation and a trans kid becoming the beacon to the end of the world. It's very interesting. I ended up overall really enjoying it. I actually don't mind body horror. Some people don't like body horror. I didn't mind it in this book. I really liked our main character. I liked the world that Andrew Joseph White created. I enjoyed all the different kinds of representation in that book. It was really, really good. I think it's a really great YA cusp kind of book. Maybe a little bit more new adult side. But overall, I really, really enjoyed it. So that is another one on the red list. Let's go. And then it goes downhill. First up, we have Watermoon by Samantha, Sotto, Yambao. And I have not read this. I have not read it. And the reason I didn't read it was because, unfortunately, the reviews weren't great. So I got really excited to read it. And then a lot of people whose reviews I trust kind of felt underwhelmed by it. And then a lot of people that I didn't know who started popping up on my For You page and my Instagram all had the same kind of vibe, that it was just a bit underwhelming and they just wanted a bit more. And as someone who owns many, many, many books, I did think to myself, maybe it's best if I just don't read this one. The first physical book of the video, we have Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. This is M.L. Wang's first traditionally published book. It's dark academia. I actually don't know too much else because I didn't want to go into not knowing too much. What I do appreciate about this, because I was getting a bit fatigued by academic books, is that the main character is not a student. It is a member of the faculty, so that kind of shakes it up. I have not read an Emma Wang book, and I was adamant this was going to be the year that I read it, and it still is. I will not be able to read this before I turn 25. This is also in one of my 25 books to read in 2025, but I will finish it before the end of the year because I have actually factored it into what I'm reading next month. So this will be read. Don't you worry, this will be read. Oh my God, on my blog post, I was like, I hope to read this in September of 2024. Queen, you're not reading this until September of 2025. So like, calm yourself. Next one on the list is Eliza Clark's Penance. This was recommended to me by a colleague because it's like an epistolary literary thriller. I love an epistolary. I love a literary thriller. So on paper, it seemed perfect. Unfortunately, I do think I just forgot about my challenge, my 25 varying challenges, because I'm surprised I still have not picked this up. I do still want to read this. So it's not going to be unhauled. I just do not know when I will get around to reading this, because really I should, because it's like everything that I like in thrillers. Then another one which I did attempt to read, it's the Foxhole Court by Nora Sakovic, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. This is a queer sports, made up sport that's highly confusing. Kind of mafia. Honestly, it's a book of many, many things that you can read for free on Amazon. The author just puts it up for free. That's incredible. Love it. Can't fault that. My friend Morgan ranted about it so much about how good it was that I had to give it a go. Unfortunately, I'm all up for suspending your disbelief. I'm a fantasy reader, so I love suspending my disbelief and going, sure, why not? For this, it required too much suspension of disbelief. So I DNF'd it about halfway through. I just found everything kind of cringy reading it, and I'm really sorry. I really like it for what it is, and I really wish I was part of this fan base because it seems super fun. I didn't love the very toxic, physically abusive nature of this book, and I realised that this is the characters are processing trauma, and I fully respect that, but also not for me. That's too much for me. There's a lot of trauma in that book, which at that point in my life, I couldn't read it. So I DNF'd it. Then we have Cuddy by Benjamin Myers, which is a literary epistolary novel about the life of, what saint is it? It's not just Saint Cuddy, is it? Hold on. Saint Cuthbert. It's a kind of literary, not a memoir, but a literary telling of the life of Saint Cuthbert, told in an epistolary format. So again, I'm surprised I've not picked this up because I love epistolary so much. Again, I do want to keep this. I don't plan on hauling it. I don't know when I will get around to reading it. The theme started. It's another book I haven't read. I really desperately wanted to read Judith Butler's Who's Afraid of Gender, and this came out March last year. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. One of my goals for this year was to read more non-fiction, which I've not been very good at. I think my goal was to read 12 non-fiction books. I think I've read like 4. So hopefully I'll get around to reading this. I am thinking of doing a non-fiction focus for November, potentially. Don't know how true that will happen. I'm not sure. I really just want to read this. I just never really found time to read it. The next book on this list that I haven't read, but I will read it this year, which is also on my 20 books to read in 2025, it's The Will of the Many by James Islington. I plan on reading this, I think it's like November, December. My book group and I are pretty adamant that we're going to read this at some point next year. So I think I want to get ahead of the curve, and I'm definitely going to read this. I think it was November or December. I've definitely decided without a shadow of a doubt that I'm reading this. This is a Roman-inspired mystery? It's set at a Roman-esque academy, and it's a guy that enrolls to learn about who murdered someone. I don't really know too much. It was on like everybody's favourite fantasy list like 2 years ago, like when it just first came out. And I've been meaning to read it for ages. And again, I never got around to it. So I basically, one person in my book group was like, oh, I think this sounds good. And I was like, yes! I was like, I actually do need to read this. It's part of a very important list of books I said I was going to read that I've not followed through on. So can we pick it? I have been seeing a lot of different things. So when it first came out, I saw nothing but amazing things. Then I saw a lot of comments about how this kind of feels like a YA book, but because it's written by a man, it's in adult fantasy. So I am actually quite intrigued to get around to reading this to see whether I view it as more of a YA adjacent book. Is it the language that makes it kind of feel YA? Is it the plot? Like, I kind of want to know. I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to like An Ember in the Ashes by Sabata Hare. And that kind of switches between regular fantasy and YA fantasy. So I'm intrigued, but no, unfortunately I've not got around to reading it, but I do plan on reading this. So nothing is being unhauled yet. Then we have a really, really cute cozy fantasy. This is The House Witch by Emily Nikota. This is a cozy fantasy. Again, this is just a case of I've just not had time to get around and reading it. This is very much an autumnal book, so maybe sometime this year, this autumn, I'll read it. Then we have one that you will fucking know I've read. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson motherfucking Bennett. This still, right now at this point in time, is my favourite book of the year so far. I am filming this on the 12th of August. This is my favourite book of 2025. It is incredible. We read this for my book group. I just loved everything about this. I own the sequel. The sequel is on my 26 books to read before I turn 26. God, every time I say that. Chills. Ugh. Anyway, The Tainted Cup is fucking good. It is a Lovecraftian Sherlock Holmes Attack on Titan vibe. I actually have a whole reading vlog dedicated to this. It is one of my all-time favourite books. It is so incredibly fucking good. It has got my new favourite dynamic, which is cranky old female detective who's incredibly knowledgeable and swears a lot, and her naive but steadfast and intelligent young male assistant who she treats like a son or a grandson or a nephew. It cannot be romantic. I cannot stress this enough. The reason this dynamic works is because it feels solely platonic. Anyway, absolutely incredible. This world is insane. The mystery is insane. The magic system is so interesting. Like, I've not read a magic system in a really long time that has made me gone fucking hell. You put every single bit of your imagination into making this. It is so unique. It is incredible. I urge every fantasy reader to read this. And then we go to another book I haven't read. This is The Principle of Moments by Esme Chikiemi Pearson. I have been trying to convince my book group to pick this up. We're always like, we just don't read enough sci-fi. I'm like, cool, here it is. And they're always just like, oh, I don't really know. One day, my fucking book group are going to read this, and when they all love it, they're going to be going, Indra, I can't believe we just didn't pick it up. And you'll be right. Unfortunately, I've not yet read it myself. I do, again, I think it's all these books. I don't think I'm unhauling a single one. I desperately want to read this. I really want to read it for book group because I think my book group would really like it if they just sort their shit out. Love them. Love everybody in my book group. The loveliest people known to man. I just, please, can we pick this? And don't ask me what that's about. It's very timey-wimey confusing. Space and history. And it's black. Then we have another one which I've not yet read. This was kind of coined with a bit of a Howl's Moving Castle vibe. This is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. I actually own another A.B. Poranek. Not got around to reading yet. And I also cannot really remember what this is about. It was kind of like uprooted vibes. I don't know why I said Howl's Moving Castle. Again, this came down to some of the reviews that came out were a little bit like, eh. So because of that, I've not yet got round to reading it. Then we have Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter, which was an epistolary crime novel, which I did end up reading. I enjoyed this. I can't remember. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I have read better epistory novels. It was the first epistory novel I've read where the pace was a little bit slow, but I liked the mystery. I liked the way that the author told the story. I guessed a couple of things, but I wasn't against that. Like, I don't bring a rating down for a book if I guess the ending, because I actually sometimes think the author set up the mystery well, that you can solve it. I didn't solve everything. I just guessed one or two things. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's the best epistory novel out there. I think I would probably bring my rating down now to about 3.5 stars. But I was disappointed to know that she hasn't written any other epistory novels since, because I would give another one of her epistory books a go. But yeah, I did really enjoy the concept. Overall, the mystery was good. I think it would make an amazing TV show or a narrative podcast. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's another one that I have read. Then we have The Turnglass by Gareth Rubin. This is a mystery series in which the story is split into two halves. One that you read this way, one that you read that way. It's a historical mystery. I think, to be honest with you, a lot of what I chose for last year was gimmick. And I don't mean gimmick in a bad way. I mean, if you give me something that's kind of exciting that's not been done before, I will pick this up. So I like the whole switching it vibe. It's very different. My 2026 list is very like romance focused. Well, this I think was very like doing something that has never been done before. And this is it. Again, not got around to reading it. I do desperately want to read it. I don't know when I'll read it. Then we have another one that I read when I was starting off so strong, and it's An Imperial Retinue by Josiah Bancroft. This was overall kind of a bit disappointing, and I don't know whether it's because I have not read the Books of Babel series for a really, really long time, so a lot of these short story collections were kind of lost to me because I couldn't really remember where we were, what we were doing. There was one story though, which I fucking loved. I can't remember what the story was, but it focused on Byron, one of the characters you meet in the second book. That and like that character's mental health. That whole chapter on mental health and that character was done amazingly. I will write what the short story was called, and I would highly recommend that. The others were just a bit hit or miss for me, unfortunately. But I did read it. So there's that. Then we have The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I picked this up mainly because it was giving me the Starless Sea vibes by Erin Morgenstern. Not got round to reading it. Actually, the second book has been out and is now out in paperback, and I still haven't read the first one. So we're not doing great. Then we have Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sujimura. Now, here's a bit of a different situation because recently I've not been reading things due to like middling to bad reviews. The two people whose reviews kind of I overlap with both didn't really like it, but there is something about this book that I keep coming back to in regards to wanting to read it, because clearly I haven't read it, but I do desperately want to read it. And I do desperately want to read it at some point. It gives me like early 2000s fantasy vibes. Like there were fantasy books that came out in the early 2000s to 2010s that kind of like Stardust the movie. I don't support the author's actions at all, but the vibes that the movie gave, the Spiderwick Chronicles, Bridge to Terabithia, those kinds of whimsical fantasy books is the vibe that I get from this. It's the only way I can explain it, so I feel drawn to it in that regard. Then we have Silver Nitrate by Silvia Marina Garcia, which I have been loving. Like we all know, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Marina Garcia is one of my all-time favourite books. Absolutely incredible. Some of the other books I've read have not hit as hard, unfortunately. So I just kind of put Silver Nitrate on the back burner and was like, oh, I'll just get around to that when it's one of the last ones. And yet I've done so badly on this list of books I wanted to read before my birthday that we never got round to it. But again, that's just due to the fact that I have not been loving some of her books. This is another one I'm trying to convince my book group to read. This is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. Again, this is something I've heard nothing but fucking amazing things, so I'm really actually surprised that I have not read this yet. Every single booktuber, booktoker I trust has loved this. Again, I think it's just another case of I've been wanting to read it with my book group, because I have this thing with my book group now where I'm like, guys, I really want us to read this together, and like, I want you all to love it. Hence why I've not read it, but I think I'm just gonna have to keep up with it. But I do desperately want to read it, and I will get around to reading it sometime. Then we have The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. I don't know why. There's actually no excuse for why I've not read this. I just have not read it. Then we have The Hacienda by Isabel Canas, which I have read. Yay! I read this because a lot of people were saying, like, if you like Mexican Gothic, you will enjoy this. It is not similar to Mexican Gothic whatsoever. It's just written by a Latina woman in a manor house. It's not similar in the slightest. Like, once you remove the author and the setting. Everything else about this book is very different. This was good though. It's also skill-wise, I prefer Sylvia Marina Garcia's writing over this author's writing, but I still really enjoyed it, and I still want to read some of her other books. I am looking forward to branching into some of her other books, and I really enjoyed the romance in this. I thought the romance was done really well. Yay! Another one done! It's a haunted house. It's a haunted house mystery set in somewhere in Mexico. Yeah, really good. Really, really enjoyed this. Then I have my slightly battered, what the fuck is this? Thing of House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I read somewhere once that somebody had nightmares consistently until they stopped reading this book. So now I'm a bit like, should I read it? I do feel like potentially this might be too smart for me, and I might end up just having to like sell it, because I just don't think it's a very complicated read. And I feel like this is a read that something happens and I'm like ill for a really long time, or I lose my job. Touch wood, that doesn't happen. But if that did happen, then I feel like I would have the time. Like, this needs time and energy, and I just don't think right now I have time nor energy to give it, if you know what I mean. And then finally, the last book of this list is Cover Her Face by P.D. James, which I have read. Come on. This was good. It wasn't as amazing as I thought it would be. P.D. James is kind of lauded up there with like the Dorothy L. Sayers and the Dorothy B. Hughes and stuff. It's a very like stream of consciousness writing style, which is a hard kind of writing style for me to adapt to. It's not my favorite. I did like the detail of all the other characters and feeling like you have a bigger picture of the suspects and the mystery, which I did really like. I just didn't love writing style. I also could not tell you how this ended. I do own one more, so I'm going to give P.D. James one more go, because I do own the second book in this series. If I love that, I'll continue. If I don't love it, I don't think this is going to be the series for me. But it is another one read. I've only read 9. And a couple of these, at least 2 of these, will be read by the end of the year just because of book group and stuff, other things. So that will be 11. Not great, considering that the goal was 25. So that's not looking good in the slightest. Okay, I'm going to come back to you on this because I now need to set up for my 26 books I want to read in 26. Again, great time to top up your drink and your food, because this one I have to explain every single book, so buckle in. Do you know what? This jumper, and you're not going to believe it, it's a fucking extra small from Primark. It's massive. Anyway, and we're back, and we are now going to be talking, drumroll please, my 26 books that I want to read before I turn 26. Now, this challenge starts on my birthday. So my birthday is the 17th of August. Send me presents, obviously. Well wishes. I'll take anything. But my birthday starts on the 17th. So the challenge starts on the 17th. But this is a mixture. So last year was very much trying to do different things. I didn't want any manga. I didn't want any sequels. This year is different. The theme for 2026 really feels like romance is the overarching theme. Let's dive in! I know I didn't choose Kindle books this year. I don't know what it is. I'm really trying to tackle this fucking big ass list of books that I physically own. So we're not doing any Kindle books this year. So first up is An Academy for Lies by Alexis Henderson. This is the 3rd book that Alexis Henderson has written. I loved her last 2 books, The Year of the Witching and House of Hunger. They are incredible. I am a bit nervous for this one purely because I'm not really a fantasy academia fan. I think I've said this once on this channel before, but I'm gonna say it again. I got over Greek mythology very quickly. Academia and kind of fantasy competitions and trials seem to be the new thing that's quite popular. I get sick of it very quickly. I'm over it very quickly. And this is academia, so we'll see. But this follows our main character who finds out she's got magical powers over the ability of persuasion. And she goes to Drayton College, which is a college specifically for magical people, for people with magical powers. And she starts, enhancing her ability. It seems that she has some kind of chemistry with her advisor. There is also her learning the mysteries of Drayton College. And if I know Alexis Henderson well, it's gonna be horrific. She is such a great horror writer, so I'm really hoping we're gonna have some horror elements in this. It seems to be classic magical university, dark, mysterious past, sexy, hot advisor who also has a dark, mysterious past. I'm looking forward to it. I trust Alexis Henderson completely. So while I'm not the biggest fantasy academia fan at the moment. I trust her to, you know, do a fucking good job. Then we have, based on a recommendation by one of my colleagues, shout out to Jessica, she recommended My Happy Marriage by Akumi Agatogi. This is a Cinderella-inspired historical fantasy. It's set in the Taisho era of Japan. It has a paranormal twist. That's all I really know. I've heard really good things about the manga and the anime. So yeah, I really, really want to read this. And I am trying to read more manga, despite reading loads anyway, and kind of branching out and reading things that I've not read before. Then we have one of the first of my sequels. We have Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. Last year, I read Strange the Dreamer and it changed my fucking life. It was so fucking good. And it's part of a duology. And I was very adamant I was going to read the second one straight away. And then we didn't. And then I didn't. So I've been meaning to read this book for a very, very long time. Strange the Dreamer was like one of my oldest books on my want to read list on Goodreads. So I feel like I need to get to the sequel a lot quicker than I did the first book. I can't say too much because it is a sequel and the end of Strange the Dreamer is a fucking whiplash of an ending. But it's got a very unique magic system, a very unique world. I would really just check out Strange the Dreamer. Then we have Immortal Dark by Tigest Girma. This is a vampire romance, it seems. I think it's another academia thing. Yeah. What is it with me and fucking academia? For someone who doesn't like it, I kept picking up books that are academia. Maybe I just need to get over it. But I like that it's uni and not a school. Do you know what I mean? But it's about a girl whose sister goes missing. She is stolen by a vampire clan. The way that kind of vampires exist is through human companionship. Sorry, that's a lie. Human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship, but Kidan's sister June goes missing, so she infiltrates this university to find out more about this family, and one of the family's like sons, and obviously things might get romantic. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I don't read many vampire books, so I'm really hoping to like this, and I just think maybe these two authors are gonna shake up my fucking feelings about, I don't know, maybe I've just been reading a lot of white fantasy academia books and I need to read a lot more black academia, fantasy academia books, and maybe that's half the issue. And there are actually a couple more non-fiction picks in this list than there were last year. So first up is Bookworm by Lucy Mangan. I read Bookish earlier this year, which was fucking incredible. It's one of my favourite books. It's going to make it to my top 10 of the year. It's really, really good. Bookish was all about Lucy Mangan's adult life and reading and her adult life and how they coincided and connected. This is all about Lucy Mangan's childhood reading experiences. So it's a memoir. It's literally called A Memoir of Childhood Reading. So because I love Bookish so much, I just know that I'm going to really enjoy this. Lucy Mangan's a very funny, witty, intelligent writer. So I have a feeling I'm going to gain a lot from this. With another manga option, we have The Summer Hikaru Died. This is the first volume. I've not read this series. This is by Moku Mokuren. I don't really know too much about this. It's about, I think Hikaru gets abducted by aliens or something. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. And I'm sorry if that's accidentally a spoiler. But it's about main guy Yoshiki, whose best friend is Hikaru, and Hikaru goes missing like 6 months ago. And then Hikaru, like, out of nowhere comes back. And I feel like it's kind of sci-fi. I don't really know too much. I also heard that people are really headcanoning the two friends as being in love. I don't know whether that's a headcanon or whether it's kind of subtly in the text. I'm not entirely sure, but this is one that I want to read. Then, continuing on with the kind of sci-fi theme, we have Two Like Lightning by Ada Palmer. I will be honest with you, I just read the first page, and the first page was so highly entertaining that I wanted to read more of it. I'm reading this and I'm like, I do not know how to fucking summarize this up, but it follows a guy called Mycroft Canner, who is an indentured person in this very complicated government situation, who has to investigate theft, and it kind of goes wrong. I don't really know. And then there's a 13-year-old could bring the end of the world. It's very confusing, but seems highly entertaining. Then continuing on with some more non-fiction, we have Eve Bites Back by Anna Beer. This is an alternate history of English literature. One of my colleagues, Holly, recommended this to me. Taking like all the very well-renowned male writers that kind of make up English literature, and why don't we just forget about them and focus on their female contemporaries at the time? So for example, instead of Chaucer, we're looking at Julian of Norwich. Instead of Shakespeare, we look at Amelia Lanya. Instead of Dickens, we look at Mary Elizabeth Braddon and things like that. So it's just a female-focused history of English literature, which I think is really fun. Continuing on with manga, we have Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. I have been meaning to read this for a really, really long time. I found out ages ago that they were bringing out a 3-in-1 volume, and I always believe in reading the 3-in-1 volumes because you actually get more bang for your buck. But also, I think it takes me about 3 volumes to realise whether I like a series or not. So I think having all 3 volumes in one makes things a lot easier if you're trying to figure out whether you like it or not. I don't really know much about this. I don't really know what a hunter is. Oh, it's just those who track down treasures, magical beasts, and other people. But you need a license, and it's really hard to get a license. But those who do are called hunters. And it's about a boy called Gon who wants to follow in his dad's footsteps, who's a legendary hunter, and he's gone missing. So then he takes the place to do it. Anyway, it was on a hiatus for a really long time, and now it seems to be slowly coming back. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure this guy is married to the writer of Sailor Moon. I'm pretty sure. After the amazing success that was A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, I want more T. Kingfisher in my life. So I really want to read Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. I did have the choice of Hemlock and Silver, but because I'm just in some like romance vibe at the moment, I picked up Paladin's Grace. First of all, I love these covers. I think they're like rejackets of these books. These covers just give me those 80s fantasy covers in like the best fucking way. There's 4 books in this series, and it is a dark, whimsical, cozy fantasy. So I think it's like a very, very dark world, but the story in itself is ultimately quite cozy. And this follows a perfumer called Grace who meets a paladin or a bodyguard called Stephen, and they witness an assassination attempt gone wrong, and they basically have to warn the people of this impending doom. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I like fantasy romance. I still don't really know how to figure out the difference between fantasy romance and romantasy, so please let me know if you have thoughts. But yes, this looks really good. I'm really excited to read this. And then we have another nonfiction. You can see I've split this into piles, so I'm trying to like equal it out. We have Searching for Juliet. This is The Lives and Deaths of Shakespeare's First Tragic Heroine by Sophie Duncan, which basically just explores the way that Juliet has been represented in history, from Shakespeare's original play to all the various adaptations. As I said, I've been trying to read more nonfiction. My nonfiction interests tend to lie more in literary nonfiction and history, so hence they're all kind of the same theme. But I've been meaning to read this for a long time. I just really like the idea of it, and I like delving into the work of people and the representation of characters and the way characters get adapted over the years. I really like it. So yes, hopefully I will read this, I hope. Then we have Red River. This was recommended to me by my friend Shannon, who was the one to kind of hype up Yona of the Dawn for me and was the reason I started reading it. So I trust her. This is Red River. This is by Chio Shinohara. This is another 3-in-1 volume, because I believe in them, we know this. But this sends a modern teenager called Yuri to ancient Anatolia. So I'm really intrigued to see the representation of ancient Anatolia. First of all, because all these characters seem to be white as fuck. And where is Anatolia actually based? Hold on. It's Turkey. It's based in Turkey. It's Western Asia, basically Turkey. And they are pale as fuck. I don't think I've met any Turkish people that are that pale. Anyway, so we'll see. But I really enjoy Yona of the Dawn, and I trust Shannon's manga recommendations. So here we go. Then I've been desperately wanting to read a Joe Abercrombie book, and I own The Devils, but I don't know what it is. I think I just want to go back to the roots and see where Joe Abercrombie started, and I want to read The Blade itself. The Blade itself seems to have like a fucking chokehold on a lot of fantasy readers, and I want to get why. I actually own the entire trilogy, so I just really need to read a Joe Abercrombie book. I will eventually read The Devils because I want to read it before the adaptation comes out, but that will be for years. Don't ask me what this is about. I think it's about a bunch of mercenaries. That's all I can tell you. Then we have I Am by Maggie O'Farrell, 17 Brushes with Death. This is literally what it says on the tin. This is Maggie O'Farrell's memoir about all of her near-death experiences. And my mum had read it and she really enjoyed it. So I really desperately want to give this a go. And I don't read many memoirs. I'm trying to read more. Again, this kind of fits my literary history because she is an author. And yeah, I think, it'll probably make you think about death weirdly. And I've experienced quite a lot of loss in the past year, so maybe this will help. I don't know. Then we have another recommendation by my colleague Shannon. This is The Guardian of Surfaces by, I believe it's pronounced Bothanya El-Essa. I could be wrong. This is a dystopian story. This is a dystopian story about book censorship, and it follows our main character who basically looks through books to check whether they need to be censored or not. And then he ends up storing these censored books himself and reading them and learning about the world. It's all about like free speech, maintaining free speech and protecting books and not censoring books, which is something that means a lot to me. My friend Shannon loved it. I trust her recommendations, so I desperately hope I love this. Then we have Midnight Shift. This is by Seon-Ran, a sapphic vampire, Korean sapphic vampires. That's all I really know, to be honest with you. Let me have a little look further. Oh my god, it's even better. It's about it's a female detective and a jaded vampire hunter. Wait, I was told it was sapphic vampires. They're humans? But it's about a detective and a vampire hunter who work together to solve a mystery of many, many deaths. I'm so excited. I actually plan on reading this hopefully in October for Halloween. It looks really good. I'm so excited. Then we have The Body in the Kitchen Garden by Paula Sutton. This is the second book in the Potting Shed Murder series. No, it's not called the Potting Shed Murder series. It's called the Vintage Hill Murder series? I don't know, but I read The Potting Shed Murder last year. It was one of my all-time favourite books last year, one of my all-time favourite crime books. It was so incredibly amazing, and I'm very excited to read the sequel. I really, really like Paula Sutton as an author. I think the way that she blends conversations on race with cozy villages. I think a lot of people view kind of cozy Cotswold villages as that kind of very white Agatha Christie-esque settings. And I think it's really good the way that Paula Sutton weaves race and representation into these very kind of stereotypically white settings. So in the last book, it was conversations on being black in white-centered spaces, conversations of being from a traveller background in very white, non-traveller centered spaces, and the discrimination that comes with being a traveller. I can't remember specifically whether the character was Romani or not, so I'm going to use the word traveller. I believe that is the correct term, so please correct me if I am wrong. But being from these marginalised communities in very white-centered spaces, especially when you're solving murders and people like to fucking point fingers. Then continuing on with non-fiction, we have The Bookshop Woman by Nanako Hanada. This is a cult bestseller. This is just about a woman who gets a job recommending books to people, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she creates a blog called The Sexy Bookseller after she loses her job. And she ends up meeting hundreds of strangers and recommending books to them. So, yeah, I just think it's really cool. I'm excited to read it. It's very on the nose for me as a bookseller. Then, again, we have a book that I should have read ages ago. We have Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This has been doing really, really well at the store that I work. It's just been flying off the shelves. It's a bit of a romance. It follows Shishishen. I don't actually know how I pronounce this. Shishishen is a shapeshifter who usually resides as an amorphous lump in a swamp of a ruined manor. But then she meets Homily, who is a human, and Homily reveals that she's meant to be hunting the monster that supposedly cursed her family. And Shishishen is like, bitch, I didn't curse anyone. And then she has to go meet the family because they've fallen in love and kind of convince them that she didn't curse them. It just seems really fun. And I love the cover. I think the cover is great. So yes, really hoping to enjoy this. Then we have The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. This is, again, a book that's been on my TBR for a really fucking long time. It's about a monk that solves bizarre deaths at this church in the year of 1327. And it's set in an abbey, and it's meant to be amazing, and I've been meaning to read this for a really long time, and I still haven't. I fucking hope I do, because it's going to be very depressing this time next year. Continuing with the romance, we then have Spiral by Bal Khabra. I have a reading vlog, which I will link, where I read the first book in the series, Collide, and it was fucking great. This is a hockey romance. We've got hockey ballerina vibes here. I will be honest, I don't actually know what it's about because I just saw that there was a sequel and I was like, I would like it, please. This follows Elias, who is a drafted hockey player for the Toronto Thunder team, who is struggling to score his first goal over media scrutiny. Then we meet Sage Beaumont, an aspiring ballerina who needs to change her public image to secure a lead role. Oh, it's fake dating! I'll tell you one thing. My favourite trope of all time for contemporary romances, I fucking love the fake dating trope. Two people that need to increase their image. Here we go. So yeah, this is Spiral. I've also recently requested from the publisher, I emailed the publisher about the third book. So I need to get onto this one very quickly. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm just, yeah, very excited to read this. The first book was absolutely incredible, so I feel like I will also love this. Then we have The Knight and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. You'd think I'd start with the first book. I can't remember what it's called, but no, because I don't actually physically own that book. I own the first one on my Kindle, but I don't actually physically own it. We're going to go for The Knight and the Moth, and the reason we're going for The Knight and the Moth, more importantly, is because it has my favourite trope in fantasy romances, which is bodyguard princess. In this case, I think she's like a cleric. She's a prophetess, and it's a knight, but it's the same thing, really, in the grand scheme of things. She basically has the ability to see the future. It's giving very, like, Apollo's oracle vibes. But she has the ability to see the future, but one day her sisters go missing, and this knight comes in and starts helping her. And, oh, I've just heard really good things. I think I've only seen one middling review. Every other review I've seen is really, really good. So, yes, I've not read a Rachel Gillig book, so I feel like I'm slightly missing out. Then we have The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. This is a European summer romantic comedy following two bisexuals called Thea and Kit, who are exes who end up meeting up again because they both had a non-refundable European summer food and wine tour, I think is what it is. And, oh no, they accidentally booked the same European food and wine tour. And because they are definitely smart and intelligent and incredibly mature human beings, they decide to do a hookup competition. Say what you want about the bisexual stereotypes. I think this will make highly entertaining fiction, and I'm here for it. Another non-fiction book, I forgot how many fucking books are to make up 26. This is Shelf Life by Michael Robb. This is a journey through the past, present, and future of bookselling and publishing in Britain. As I go up in my role, I want to learn more about the landscape of publishing and bookselling and things like that, and this is something that my bookseller friends have been highly recommending. Because I play Dungeons and Dragons, it would be amiss of me. It would be remiss or amiss to have Thea Guanzon's Tusk Love. This is the adaptation of the in-game novel from Campaign 2 that one of the characters, Jester, is obsessed with. They've actually created this into an actual physical, tangible book. I'm incredibly excited. It is about I think she's a florist? No, it's about a merchant called Guinevere who ends up getting attacked by bandits on a journey and meets a half-orc called Oscar who ends up serving as her bodyguard for her to get from A to B and protect her produce. I'm so fucking excited. I've heard really good things about this. It's very beautiful and I really like the inside of the cover. It's like this. How fun! I really like it, and that's the actual characters from Campaign 2 because that's Jess's love interest. It's so good. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to read this. I will sort that out later. But yes, romance on the shelf. And finally, the final book for my 26 books I want to read before I turn 26 is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the sequel to The Tainted Cup, which I've already raved on about. This has a locked room murder mystery element to it. I don't really know anything else. I'm trying to go in kind of blind because I don't really want to know too much. I just know I'm probably going to love it. One of my book group attendees has read it and said it was just as good. So yeah, should be good. And there you have it. We have my very, very, very big list of books that I plan on reading in 2026. Well, actually before 26, I turned 26. So from the 17th of August, that's when it starts. My brand new challenge. I hope I don't feel overwhelmed. But I do. I like doing these lists. I like doing these challenges because it gets me excited to read. I think that's what keeps the momentum going. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And, subscribe as well to see if I actually achieved this. I hope I do.